am Curt, Vasas, principal of the Forest Hills High School, and I would like to welcome you to the 50th annual commencement exercises of our high school. There are a few announcements I'd like to make at this time. Please do not approach the stage to take pictures. We also ask that you use your cell phones tonight to only take pictures and not to make or receive phone calls. At the conclusion of the program, all parents, friends, relatives are invited down to the floor to participate in the joy and celebration of this graduation. I would also like to thank all the faculty and staff of the Forest Hills School District who worked so hard to make today a memorable moment for our seniors. And now, the class of 2016. audience will please stand for the singing of our national anthem and remain standing for the Forest Hills Alma Mater. Gentlemen of our graduating class, please remove your caps at this time. Graduates, please be seated. Thank you, members of the chorus. At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Gage McCall, Senior Class President, who will give the welcoming address. Gage is the son of Derek and Diane McCall of New Germany. Gage is an active member of Student Council, SAD, Spirit Club, Mock Trial, and FBLA. He was a state qualifier for forensics, the vice president of the Spanish Honor Society, and has participated in 3 drama productions. Athletically, Gage has been a member of the track and wrestling teams and was captain of the cross-country team. He received the School Director's Award and the Senior Awards for cross-country, forensics, and computerized reading. Gage earned the Robert Morris Academic Scholarship, the Aaron Bosworth Scholarship, and the Abe, Janet, and Blanche Bierman Art Scholarship. Gage will attend Robert Morris University, where he will dual major in media arts and business, with the goal of fulfilling his dream of working at a movie studio. Ladies and gentlemen, I proudly present to you the Senior Class President, Mr. Gage McCall.
Hello, it's me. I was wondering if after all these years you'd like to graduate. Welcome, parents, teachers, administrators, board members, family, friends, and fellow graduates. Our class is part of what is called the social media generation. Am I right? Hashtag class of 2016. And I guarantee you, as I give my speech, I'll be filmed and uploaded on Facebook. And those of you in the stands, can you please finish your last Instagram post and Twitter tweet and give me your attention? It might be too long for some of you. Hashtag sorry, not sorry. Social media is certainly different today than when we started elementary school. It has evolved, and so have we. Let's go back to the day when Instant Messenger was king. As Fetty Wap would say, let's press rewind to see them Skechers one more time. On August 27th, 2003, we got ready for our first day of kindergarten. We were so excited to experience something new, yet we were also terrified to leave our mom and dad. Some of us were thrilled to show off our new zip-up Skechers shoes. As the time went by, we waited eagerly in the driveway for that diesel bus to stop at its destination. When it came, we waved a final goodbye as we watched our parents cry. Then we boarded the diesel bus. We were the first kindergarten class to attend school every day. The previous years, they had kindergarten split into green and gold teams. Elementary school was a long 7 years, but we kept busy. The school was set upon activities called specials. We would take turns rotating to these various clubs. Art class involved finger painting, coloring, and that strange clay video called Rip Van Winkle, where the music still haunts me to this day. Ha, 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 oh, oh. Some of us were fortunate enough to hear Mr. Lehman's great stories involving castles and dragons. Gym class was when we were exposed to BO, a nice-smelling odor that you get when you sweat a lot and don't shower regularly. We would play games like Alligator, Alligator, May We Cross the River? Music class could have been another gym class. Mr. Baylog made us sweat when we were forced to do tinkling and play that plastic recorder. Although, we did learn early how to keep a beat when Mr. Elias would ask us on the drums, "What's for dinner?" On other days, we'd go to the library and learn the Dewey Decimal System and then play primary games on the computers like Doom Buggy or Bug on a Wire. But what we considered the best days were when we had book fairs. We would spend hundreds of dollars on overpriced books that we would never read. And that was our schedule. We did that for 7 years. We met new friends and grew strong relationships with our teachers. Carnival Day was a day that some considered better than Christmas. The tasty nachos and delicious milkshakes were a plus. The inflatable rides and blow-ups covered the whole soccer field at the track. But the one ride that everyone kept their eye on was the Titanic slide. Our class never got to ride down this slide. We never had the opportunity to play Jack and Rose. This was the first of many things that our class got shafted in. Today, these things seem as silly as AIM, but at the time, they were incredibly important. During the end of our elementary career, most of us jumped on the bandwagon and could say they owned numerous Webkins, Tamagotchis, silly bands, and our first cell phone. Some people argue that the cell phone is the downfall to our generation. And I'm sure we all heard our grandparents tell us, "Back in my day, we didn't have a cell phone. We had 2 soup cans and a string." Thanks to the cell phone and AIM, our vocabulary started to change. LOL, LMAO, TTYL, and IDK were all top phrases used in our English papers at school. As we made our way to the middle school, the only thing that was really engraved in our brain from elementary school was walkers and students being picked up by their parents may leave at this time. The middle school was literally in the middle of nowhere, and the best thing to smell were the cow patties in the neighboring field. Some of us started to mature, while others were late bloomers, and some of us are still waiting for that to happen. We had the luxury of our very own lockers and a nice laminated lunch card that cost $1 to replace it if you lost it. The formation of cliques started. Where you sat at the cafeteria was crucial. You had your preps, desperate wannabes, burnouts, band geeks, art freaks, cool Asians, and the plastics. Just kidding, middle school was nothing like the movie Mean Girls. Surprisingly, everyone got along. If you wanted to fit in, though, you went to the school dances. The middle school dances can be described as lit. We all broke it down with the Soldier Boy, Dougie, and Cupid Shuffle. Middle school relationships started to bloom, and with the help of the cell phone, you didn't have to talk to each other face to face. For example, this is how a relationship would start via text.
Hey,
What up?
you're cute.
Yeah,
Want a date?
yeah.
K.
And just like that, you were in a relationship. Facebook became our new obsession. It was important to have a high friend count. Texting took the place of AIM, and our slang vocabulary evolved to new words like bae, YOLO, and swag. And does anybody remember that song from Rebecca Black, Friday, Friday? Later in our years, we accomplished many things, building egg cars, creating leaf projects, and launching rockets. We also learned to beware Mr. Brandis' hallway, knowing that he would bust you for holy jeans and catch you with no hall pass, doing this all while chugging Diet Pepsis. We continued to evolve. Some of us did after-school sports and others joined clubs. We even watched our heroes evolve. Taylor Swift evolved from country to pop, and Miley Cyrus from sane to insane. As we reached the end of our freshman year, some of us were fortunate enough to own an iPhone 4S, Reebok Zig shoes, Ugg boots, and yoga pants. Middle school quickly ended, and we continued evolving. So did social media. We left Charlie Bit Me behind because ain't nobody got time for that. We got tired of Facebook and left that to our parents, and we started to tweet like birds. And just like that, we were sophomores. We knew that we'd be at the high school for a limited time because we would be the first class to graduate from the new school. LOL. And if somebody asked you, what's for lunch? You couldn't be wrong with the answer, chicken nuggets, because we had that on the lunch menu every day. In fact, it was just served yesterday. As we turned 16, we got our driver's license and could get in our mom's car and say, I'm in me mom's car, vroom vroom. And she'd be like, get out of me car. But as the construction of the new school started, they tore up something that we will never forget, and some will never forgive. Our student parking lot. We were stripped away from one of the only privileges we had, but that didn't stop us from driving to school. We took over the Ranger, Crown Street, and most of Creslow. Even though we moved from class to class each day, you could always rely on the boys' bathroom to keeping the day interesting. Words like get there and diesel were carved into the stalls and became frequent phrases used at the school. If you had a fever, cold, Ebola, or senioritis, you would go to the nurse and she would give you an ice pack. Though the only person who really needed an ice pack was Isabella Yakichik. When we were at lunch, someone threw an unopened apple juice across the cafeteria and hit her right in the eye. #ouch. As we got older, social media kept evolving. Snapchat and Instagram became huge hits, thus creating the new obsession, selfies. If you didn't post a picture of you out for lunch with your friends, then it never happened. It seemed like everyone needed to know everyone else's pointless actions, and it had to be put on social media. Friend groups evolved to be officially known as squads, and did I mention your eyebrows are on fleek? Oh, and if you don't like someone, then you be throwing shade at them. Other phrases like turnt, dough, twerk, and fetch became widely spread. Just kidding, stop trying to make fetch happen, it will never happen. And before you knew it, we were attending our high school proms. For boys, this was an easy process, just rent a black suit. But for girls, oh my. You buy the first prom dress, the second prom dress, and by the time you hit senior year, your parents have to refinance your house to buy your third prom dress. But we laid down the law while hitting the quan, doing the whip nay-nay, and dabbing. Prom was a highlight of senior year, as is tonight. Though someday these memories will fade and we'll evolve and move on to the next big thing, just like we'll move on from Snapchat and Instagram. We may someday even say similar words that our grandparents said to us. What is happening to our young people? They disrespect their leaders, they disobey their parents, they ignore the law. They riot in the streets inflamed with wild notions. Their morals are decaying. What is to become of them? Don't these sound like words your grandparents said? They were actually said by the famous philosopher Plato several thousands of years ago, but they sound like it could have been said yesterday from our grandparents. The point is, people haven't changed. The technology has. Technology is beneficial, but when you look back to high school, the most important thing won't be about how many followers, likes, retweets, or favorites you had. It'll be about how you treated others and how you were as a person. Ask yourself, if your true self, your personality, were your status, would it be worthy of a like or retweet? Hashtag thank you, hashtag congrats, hashtag God bless.
Thank you, Gage. And now I'd like to take a moment to introduce our platform guests for tonight. First, Mr. Costin, Assistant Principal at the high school. Mr. Bowser, Superintendent. Mrs. Schrahl, Director of Education. Mr. Russell, School Board President. Mr. Jacobs, Elementary Principal. Mr. Selmer, Elementary Assistant Principal. Mr. Alexander, Middle School Principal. Mrs. Miller, Dean of Students at the middle school. 3 faculty and staff representatives on stage tonight. Mrs. Miller from the elementary. Mr. Golden from the high school. And Mrs. Fessler from the high school. And finally, the rest of our school board, Mr. McTavish, Mrs. Helsel, Mr. Bopp, Dr. Andrake, Mr. George, Dr. Knavel, and Mrs. Long. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce the Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Edwin Bowser. Mr. Bowser is a 1976 graduate of Richland High School. He began his teaching career in 1981 as an auto body instructor at the Greater Johnstown Career and Technology Center. He received his bachelor's degree and master's equivalency in 1987 from the University of Pittsburgh. Mr. Bowser earned a master's degree in elementary and secondary guidance in 1993 from Frostburg State University in Maryland. And in 1994, he completed his cooperative education certificate at Indiana University of Pennsylvania. That year, Mr. Bowser was appointed guidance counselor, cooperative coordinator at the Greater Johnstown Career and Technology Center. He received his secondary principal certification in 1998 from St. Francis University. Mr. Bowser earned his superintendent's letter of eligibility from Gannon University in 2007. He has been employed in various capacities in the Forest Hills School District since 1999. He began his Forest Hills career as the high school assistant principal. He was appointed principal of the high school in 2006. In 2009, Mr. Bowser was appointed director of education, where he remained until his appointment to the superintendency in 2011. Ed is married to the former Dana Bevick of Ferndale, and she is employed as an OB nurse at Conemaugh Hospital. Ed and Dana have 3 children, Zachary, Elena, and Logan. Ladies and gentlemen, the Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Edwin Bowser.
Wow. Wow, for 17 years I've been doing this and standing on this stage, and you always get a little nervous when you come up here, and it gets a little easier each year. But tonight, Mr. McCall, my board president, looked over at me and said, "Good luck," after his speech. So truly, that's going to be a tough one to top. But again, nice job, Gage. Good evening, everyone. Before I begin my address to the graduating class, I'd like to recognize 5 educators who will be retiring at the conclusion of this year. Most of you probably had these individuals over the past 13 years, and these individuals are Mr. Kevin Baylog, elementary music teacher, 35 years of service. Mrs. Gail Wyant, elementary teacher, 29 years of service. Mr. Kevin Smay, elementary school teacher, 35 years of service. Mr. William Kolbach, middle school technology teacher, 38 years of service. And Mrs. Diane Picola, elementary guidance teacher, or guidance counselor, 22 years of service. The school district and the students have truly been enriched by their gift of education, and it's your choice to share it. Thank you, the 5 of you, for your 159 years of service and dedication to the students of the Forest Hill School District. How about a round of applause for our retirees? Well, good evening, family, friends, and Forest Hills administrators, professional staff, board members, and most of all, class of 2016. I would like to extend a warm and heartfelt welcome to all of you. For 17 years, I've had the pleasure to stand on the stage and address the graduating class. Some of you in the audience and some of you on stage can attest that because I'm a creature of habit, I started out my speeches exactly the same way, no matter what my position, and it worked. I would go into a long, some people would say, drawn out explanation of my special gift. Well, tonight, after many people convincing, I'm going to cut right to the chase. And my gift to you is that my speech is going to be very, very short, okay? I found, that being said, I'd like to take a moment to explain to you that this class has a very special distinction that no other graduating class in the history of Forest Hills can claim. Earlier this year in the district office, I found a document which came from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Department of Public Instruction. The document read, "This is to certify that the Forest Hill School District Administrative Unit 63-5 of Public Schools of Cambria County has established as a school district as of July 1st, 1966, under the authority of the Act of August 8th, 1963, Public Law 564. In essence, on that day, the Forest Hill School District was created. As a result, your graduating class, actually our graduating class, will officially have the distinction of being the 50th graduating class in the history of Forest Hill School District. Congratulations. At this time, I would like all individuals in the audience and our graduates from Forest Hills, South Fork, Triangle, Coyle, and any other school district that has been a part of the Forest Hill School District to please stand up and be recognized, because this is truly a proud moment for all of us. So if you are a graduate of Forest Hills or any other joiner, please stand up. How about a round of applause? Thank you. So when people approach me and ask me what in particular sets this graduating class apart from any other class, I can certainly tell them that on top of everything else you've accomplished in your 13 years at Forest Hills, you have the distinction of being the 50th graduating class from our district. But more importantly, I will remember you, and the staff will remember you for the following. Academically, a total of 20 seniors have achieved a grade point average of over 4.0. Approximately 70% of this class will move on to higher education at colleges such as Bucknell University, Juniata, Pitt and Penn State. Over 50 seniors were awarded scholarships that have a monetary value of over $1.1 million. Some of you might argue that this class was the most scholarly group to grace the halls of Forest Hill School District in a long time. Other individuals reviewing this class's accomplishment might classify you as the most artistic, especially if you had the pleasure to attend the spring concerts and view many of the paintings and crafts crafted by the individuals seated on the floor before me. But actually, every person seated in front of this podium possesses tremendous attributes and has potential to achieve greatness. As previously stated, some of you shine in the arts, some displayed incredible vocational skills, while others performed exceptionally well in the classroom and others excelled in athletics. But this particular class is special. When I talked to Mr. Vasas, Mr. Costin, and other staff members, and I talked to my brother a lot, your guidance counselor, he said that whenever I walked in halls, it didn't matter. The one thing that we'll all remember, that we'll share, is that you are one of the nicest group of students they've ever had the pleasure of working with in all their years of Forest Hills. So when people ask me, what I will remember about this class, I will remember this class for their compassion, their unselfishness, their willingness to accept people for who they are. You have shown your ability to recognize that people are different, and you know what? That's okay. And we need to accept everyone for their uniqueness. As I was pondering what wisdom I wanted to leave with each of you, this story was told to me at St. Benedict's by Father Pellis about 3 weeks ago as he began his sermon. So as I do every year for 17 years at every speech or occasion, I try to leave you with some words of wisdom. So I hope you find this has a special meaning in this tale. A man found a cocoon of an emperor moth. He took it home so that he could watch the moth come out of its cocoon. On the day a small opening appeared. He sat and watched the moth for several hours as the moth struggled to force the body through that little hole. The moth seemed to struggle and appeared to have stopped making progress. It seemed as if it had gotten as far as it could go and it could go no further. The man, in his kindness, decided to help the moth. He took a pair of scissors and snipped off the remaining bit of the cocoon. The moth then emerged easily, but the body was swollen and small, its wings wrinkled and shriveled. The man continued to watch the moth because he expected that at any moment the wings would enlarge and expand to be able to support the body, which would contract at any time. Neither happened. In fact, the little moth spent most of its life crawling around with a small, swollen body and shriveled wings. It was never able to fly. The man, in his kindness and haste, did not understand that the struggle required for the moth to get through the tiny opening was necessary to force fluid from the body of the moth into the wings so that it would be ready for flight upon achieving its freedom from the cocoon. Freedom in flight would only come after the struggle. By depriving the moth of the struggle, he deprived the moth of health. In life, you're going to face many struggles. Life is not a bowl of cherries, contrary to what people say. And not everyone gets a trophy because they participate. Learn now that life isn't always fair. A fair is a place with popcorn, cotton candy, and carnival rides. Realize now that there will always be those who have more money and more things. Accept it. Get over it. Fair is a state of mind and largely influenced by choices we make and attitudes we assume. Sometimes struggles are exactly what we need in our life. If we were to go through our life without obstacles, we would be crippled. We would not be as strong as what we were capable of being. Give every opportunity a chance. Leave no room for regrets. And don't forget the power in the struggle. These are tough times in our country, where jobs are difficult, cultures are changing, and the very elements that make this country great are being tested. The struggles that you will face upon graduation will be many. My hope is that over the 13 years, the teachers and staff at Forest Hills have provided you the tools to be successful overcoming these obstacles that you will face after graduation. I know that we have taught you the following things. The sky is the limit. Everyone has potential. It may take courage to embrace the possibilities of your own potential, but once you've flown past the summit of your fears, nothing will be impossible. 2, be determined. Determination is born out of purpose. It is never enough to rely on luck or natural talent. 3, be a leader. A true leader has confidence to stand alone, the courage to make tough decisions, and the compassion to listen to those needs of others. In the end, leaders are much like eagles. They don't flock, you find them one at a time. 4, more importantly, become a lifelong learner. Never stop educating yourself. Most of the jobs that we fill 20 years from now have not been invented yet. Much of the knowledge that will be at your fingertips in 20 years from now does not even exist. Be persistent. The line between failure and success is so fine that we scarcely know when we pass it. So fine that we are often on the line and we don't know it. Many a person has given up a time when there a little more effort, a little more patience would have achieved success. A little more persistence and effort can turn a hopeless failure into a glorious success. There is no failure except in no longer trying. Living a life that matters doesn't happen by accident. It is not a matter of circumstance, it is a matter of choice. Choose to live a life that matters. Finally, I leave you with this quote that I found a couple of years ago, looking through my son's papers one time, and it struck me, and I hope it sticks with you because it has stuck with me for a number of years. It goes, one of the most courageous things that you can do is identify yourself. Know who you are, what you believe in, and where you want to go. On behalf of the Board of Education and the administration, we wish to each and every one of you the happiness of a productive life, respect of your fellow man, the love of your family. May your futures be filled with promise and happiness. And remember, know who you are, what you believe in, and where you want to go. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations, class of 2016.
Thank you, Mr. Bowser. At this time, our senior class chorus members will sing their rendition of Never Gonna Give You Up. And now I'd like to introduce the Salutatorian of the class of 2016, Miss Gabrielle Shaulis. Gabby is the daughter of Gerald and Catherine Shaulis of Salix. She was involved in drama club, the reading competition, marching band, concert band, mock trial, Spanish Honor Society, and National Honor Society. Gabby received the School Director's Award, the President's Education Award, the Aaron Hostetler Memorial Scholarship, the Distinguished Young Women's Academic Scholarship, the Rotary Club Academic Excellence Award, the Senior Band Award, and the Senior Mock Trial Award. Gabby will attend the University of Pittsburgh to study to be a geriatrician. Ladies and gentlemen, I proudly present to you our salutatorian, Miss Gabby Shaulis.
My fellow classmates, when I found out I was salutatorian, I was really excited, until I remembered I had to give a speech. Of course, I procrastinated. What a true testament to my high school career. To be quite honest, I could not think of anything. What do I say to over 100 other people who were in the exact same position as me? But then I thought about it. We're not all in the same place. However, we did start out in the same place, at least relatively. In kindergarten and first grade, we were given paper with lines to practice writing our letters at the right size. Then, in third grade, we were given those papers again to practice writing in cursive. This is what they look like in case you forgot. Nice little dinosaur at the top. That reminds me of one of my favorite quotes. If they give you ruled paper, write the other way, said by Juan Ramon Jimenez. For a lot of you, it might sound familiar because it was at the beginning of Fahrenheit 451, which a lot of us, myself not included, were forced to read. We all completed writing in the spaces and eventually moved on to writing without lines. Why did we write in those lines? Partially because we were told to do so, and also so that we could perform well enough to write on our own. If you think about it, writing in those lines was sort of like what high school is for us now. Were we forced to go through it? Yes. But it built a foundation. Although it didn't always feel like it, we were learning. Don't ask me how lining up desks where tiles meet in a classroom prepares me for college, or how drawing buildings to a certain focal point determined whether I was ready for high school. Nevertheless, the diplomas we earned are a gateway to whatever we want. We are done writing in the way that we are told to. Now, we decide. The majority of high school has been following the rules, doing what you were told. We were told what to wear, when we could go to the bathroom, when our day started, all without any other option. Graduation is the start of writing outside of the lines, in whichever direction we choose. Some of us are going for a higher education, some of us are entering the workforce. Regardless of where we are going, we get to decide. Graduation can be sad and nostalgic, but I think it can be one of the most happy and important events in a person's life. High school was just a stepping stone to the future. So if you failed that AP Bio test, and believe me, I did, a lot, it's okay. Whether you're 5th or 125th in the class, you can still create your own future. Yes, high school prepared us for the future, but almost more importantly, it taught us about ourselves and others. It does not matter if not everyone liked you, or if some people thought you were too weird, or too loud, or too confident. There will always be people that doubt you and probably dislike you. One of the great things about high school for me is that I've learned that it doesn't matter what other people think of you, as long as you believe in yourself. So don't be afraid to branch out, meet new people, and try new things. Sure, high school had some good memories, but the future holds so much more. No one can tell you what the time ahead of you holds, but you don't need to know the specifics. You're in control. We have done our time writing in the lines. Now we make our own paper and our own lines. So high school was fun at times and was a lot of work. We are ready for the future. I'm proud to say that after 13 years of being told what to do, we made it. Thank you.
Thank you, Gabby. And now, the valedictorian of the class of 2016, Miss Megan Fessler. Megan is the daughter of Rick and Laurie Fessler of Sidman. Megan was a member of the drama club, the reading competition team, and she participated in basketball. She is also a member of the Spanish Honor Society and the National Honor Society. Megan was a 4-year letter winner in golf and a member of 3 District 6 golf championship teams. Megan received the School Director's Award, the President's Education Award, the Rotary Club Academic Excellence Award, the Tribune Democrat Academic All-Star Award, the Cape and Greenwich Sapphire Scholarship, and the Forest Hills Education Endowment Scholarship. Megan will attend Gannon University on an academic and golf scholarship in order to become a doctor of physical therapy. Ladies and gentlemen, I proudly present to you our valedictorian, Miss Megan Fessler.
Good evening, graduating class of 2016, families, friends, teachers, and administrators. Thank you all for being here tonight to celebrate the final moments of our time as Forest Hills Rangers. When I finally realized that I needed to write a speech for graduation, I was left without any thoughts. My mind was completely blank. It seemed like there were no words to describe this huge chunk of my life. But a quote that piqued my interest a few years ago when I read it in a book jumped into my head. To live is the rarest thing in the world. Most people exist, that is all. These simple yet impacting words offered by Oscar Wilde resonate in my mind for their prophetic meaning. There is a thin line between living and existing. Some may believe they are one and the same. However, they are polar opposites. Existing is physical, whereas living implies a greater meaning. Seniors, as we head out into the real world, we need to ask ourselves, do you want to exist or do you want to live? Existing is like the remaining coals in a fire, the embers that just sit and sizzle. There is no great source of heat or light radiating from them. Existing simply means that one is surviving, and to just survive, you go through the basic motions of everyday life, caught in the endless cycle of routine without any deep thoughts or skepticisms about the world. At some point in our lives, everyone just exists. For example, students fall into the same daily routine due to their busy schedules. We wake up, get dressed, catch the bus, attend first period, eat lunch, participate in extracurriculars, study and do homework, eat dinner, and finally fall into bed at 2 in the morning from an exhausting day. We become trapped in a boring rut because it seems as if we have to, or because it makes the days easier. To ensure that our future endeavors in life are successful and our coals burn brighter, we need to do more than just exist. We need to live. When we choose to live, we take control of our lives. We need to take the time to do what is right for us, what will ultimately make us happy, and what will add value to our lives and those around us. If going to the Ranger every day for a week relieves some of your stress, then I say eat until your brain freezes over. When you live, you seize every opportunity that comes your way, even those opportunities that, on the surface, seem out of the ordinary. Don't settle for just reaching a goal or completing a task. Go above and beyond what is required and pour your heart into it. If you put passion into everything you do, then the outcome can only be huge. Don't let people fool you. Everyone sucks up to get the boss's attention, so overachieving is never a bad thing. It only allows you to stand out in the crowd and get things done effectively. When we live, we impact the lives of others. We always need to keep in mind how our actions will affect others and how these actions can add value to not only our lives, but also the lives around us. And so many people have made our lives valuable. The unquestioned support of our parents, families, teachers, coaches, and community have all influenced and shaped us into the individuals we are today. For without them, Rangers, we would not have reached the milestone of graduation. I would like to personally thank my parents, who have always pushed me to work hard and to never give up. I think the nagging finally paid off. I would also like to thank all of my grandparents, who've taught me so much more than a book ever could. My friends deserve a huge thanks for choosing to put up with me and keeping me sane throughout the years. And as we make our separate ways, I will miss their constant presence so much. Thank you to everyone who has touched our lives. But most importantly, as growing adults, we cannot let other people's opinions influence who we are as people. Instead, when we choose to live, we find and fulfill our purpose in life, not someone else's thought of it. Our purpose, the most important treasure one can find, is not always obvious to us. It may take time and in-depth soul searching to find. However, the ultimate goal in life is to figure out who you are as a person and to discover the purpose that will lead and define your life. Seniors, some of us may have already found our purpose, but others are still searching. Never give up. Continue to search for your inner passion. The pursuit is always the most adventurous part. Congratulations, class of 2016. But don't forget to take caution against merely existing, because only living will allow you to seek out the fuel that will light your fire and leave it burning brighter than you could ever imagine. Thank you.
Before I address our graduates today, I would ask them to give their parents, friends, family, teachers, anyone who had an influence on them, a round of applause as a sign of their appreciation for all the time and effort these people have committed to them throughout the years. Congratulations, class of 2016. Today marks yet another transition in all of your lives. Transitions sometimes give us the opportunity to start anew or continue the good work we've already begun. Transitions can be hard to notice or very dramatic. No matter how big or small, how we move forward and the direction we take is in part shaped by where we have been. All of you have worked hard to make today become a reality. Tomorrow will begin a new chapter in each of your lives. We are forever connected in life's long and eventful journey. And this journey will continue to be marked by transitions, all of which will be memorable in some way. Our hope for you is this, that we have prepared you to face whatever challenges and obstacle life presents you. Face these challenges and the connected transitions with confidence and determination, knowing the knowledge and experiences you have gained from Forest Hills will help you along your own journey from one transition to the next. It has been an honor, a pleasure, and a privilege to have been your principal over the last 3 years. I congratulate all of you on your accomplishment and future success. Good luck and God bless. And now to introduce the graduating seniors is the assistant principal of the high school, Mr. Brian Costin. Presenting the diplomas is the president of the Board of School Directors, Mr. Fred Russell.
Congratulations to all the graduates in attendance tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I would like to introduce to you the class of 2016. Megan Nicole Fessler. Gabrielle Catherine Shaulis. Gage Braden McCall. Robert William Bambino. Veronica Baroni. Nicholas Scott Borelli. Samantha Amanda Bromley. Kaylin Ann Cheney. Carly Michelle Chido. Morgan Amelia Cronauer. Ryan James Dibble. Brianna Lynn Fashani. Dalton Tanner Faith. Timothy Richard Frazier. Caitlin Marie Josephson. Caitlin Paige Klein. Shannon Rose Kudlowick. Dallas Joseph McClintock. Christiana Noel Miller. Alyssa Joy Perriton. Brooke Elaine Rohr. Jillian Grace Scott. Morgan Christina Scott. Ian Joseph Slipko. Brody Tedman Smay. Shannon Alexis Staines. Kaylee Sierra Steigers. Katie Elizabeth Vitez. Samantha Elizabeth Wright. Samantha Michelle Yamros. Alex David Hook. Blake Anthony Ivach. Shane William Kelly. Zachary Charles Long. Alexis Lynn Loya. Kaylee Marie Neff. Ashley Rayanne Rock. Sky Lynn Smay. Alexandra Tercel Smith. Gabrielle Marie Vogel. Evan Michael West. Ian Joseph Wyzork. Amanda Joy Woodside. Austin Louis Andreo. Ashley Blair Bear Deal. Joel Michael Barton. Cheyenne Block. Austin Terry Bloom. Emily Ann Bodenschatz. Alexa Ray Boyle. Caitlin Rose Brady. Dylan Reese Brooks. Matthew David Brown. Garrett George Bunn. Chad Ellen Burkett. Kirsten Elizabeth Capatch. Haley Marie Chernicki. Cole James Chanot. Jessica Tori Chukalochuk. James Daniel Kornman. Carly Ann Croyle. Thomas Sherman Crum. Blake Donovan Custer.
Shane Curtis Dell.
Zachary James Dillon. Stephen Michael Dusak. Ryan Scott Ellis. Alyssa Renee Eschbaugh. Colton Joseph Estock. Megan Vivian Fashani. Kirsten Grace Ford. Michael Charles Lee Foster. Eva Marilyn Golden. Levi James Grigg. Julia Rose Gawley. William David Habercorn. Blaine Michael Hartice. Haley Autumn Hill. Tara Marie Hogan. Lindsay Nicole Houghton. Jonathan Jacob Hoyer. Anthony Rebar Jr. Catherine Jean Jordan. Alexander Warren Kendrick. Austin Michael Kissel. Zachary Ryan Klein. Taylor Marie Cordell. Dylan Andrew Koch. Easton John Krajewski. Alexander Bruce Kramer. Maria Lucy Krug. Eric James Kudlowick. Jonathan Lee Lacko. Calla Nicole Lample. Tanner Maverick Lang. Allison Ruth Long. Jared Dennis Long. Cliff W. Markle. Alexandra Lynn Maurer. Alyssa Rose McAfee. Madison Page McDaniel. Danielle Cheryl Mickus. Jordan Elizabeth Miller. Lawton Ernest Miller, Jr. Ryan Mark Miller. Tasha Lynn Miller. Megan Rose Mills. Brady Scott Mock. Jamie Ellen Noggle. James Michael Nevins. Hannah Jane Oldham. Joseph Zane Oldham. Shane Sebastian Owens. Dominic James Panic.
Alexander Michael Piskowski.
Jacob Allen Penitzer. Adam John Peshock. Good job. Andrew Aaron Pincus. Tanner Michael Polinsky. Adam Nicholas Potter. Corey Lee Quashny. Brandon James Rhodes. Christian Antonio Rios. Dylan A. Ritko. Devin Lee Shankwaller. Norman Theodore Schoenfeld. Emily Rose Schrader. Jacob Eric Schrift. Jordan Tyler Schrock. Danielle Asley Sculthorpe. Jacob James Seawalk. Brandon Schaefer. Noah Gabriel Simpson. Tyler Michael Smith. Christian Lee Stepien. Hunter Augustine Stifler. Vincent Matthew Units. Samuel Douglas Vaughn. Cassie Lynn Weary. Crystal Cole Wetzel. Courtney Ray Wilson. Jonas Dominic Wissinger. Isabella Catherine Yakichik. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the class of 2016. Thank you.
Seniors, will you please rise? Please move your tassels. By the power vested in me as the principal of the Forest Hills High School, I am pleased to state that these students have fulfilled the requirements for graduation as set forth by the Pennsylvania Department of Education and the Forest Hills School District. Ladies and gentlemen, the class of 2016. This now concludes our program. Please come down on the floor and share in the celebration. Thank you.